Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Book talk is pretty much dead. It is gone forever. Well, it's not gone right now, but it's leaving. And so I thought I would bring that to YouTube. I'm not a book talker if you're new here. I am your basic everyday beauty guru. And I feel like for 2025, I just kind of want to rebrand. And I've been doing YouTube so many years and I haven't even filmed a YouTube video in so long, but I want to film something else. I kind of want to get away from like what I've been doing for so long and just talk about things I care about and like new things. And what I care about now is books. This though is just going to be one of the many new things I'm going to talk about. I just kind of want to make my channel maybe just a lot more like lifestyle and less like beauty guru fashion-y. But it is a beautiful snowy day in upstate New York and I thought this is the perfect day to like literally just sit on my bed and talk about books. I haven't posted videos in so long because I feel like I've been like struggling with content, and then I was like, that's kind of stupid of you, babe. Just make different content. So that's what we're doing. So because I've never made book content before, this video is kind of gonna be an everything video. I'm gonna talk about the books I'm currently reading, like my favorite books I've ever read. I have a physical TBR that we're gonna talk through. I have a huge book haul. I literally went to the thrift store yesterday or the day before yesterday and everything was $1. Like every book was $1. So I have like a huge haul of 10 books here. And we're going to talk about my book goals for 2025. That way we can like lay the grounds for like my future book content. And yeah, like I said, I'm not going to be like making only book content now, but I thought it was just something that I love to do in my real life and something I love to talk about with my friends in real life. So I might as well like make content about it, right? I guess first we can just sort of talk about like me and my book preferences and like what I like and what I'm currently reading. So I'm going to show you like the books I'm currently reading. Yes, I am the type of person that can go between reading multiple different series / multiple different books at the same time. Okay, sometimes I do love sitting down and like reading a book in one sitting and just like dedicating to one book. I literally just had a readathon yesterday with my sister-in-law. So I read 3 books, which probably, I'm really bad at comparing myself. I was gonna say probably that's not very good, but also thinking about my reading journey and like how I used to read like only 2-3 years ago is great for me. But I have seen book talk videos where girls are reading 7 to 9 books in one sitting. How do you do that? Please let me know. We didn't do like a full 24-hour readathon. We kind of, weren't able to do that and fell asleep. So it wasn't a full 24 hours, but I think like honestly within like 12 to 14. Sometimes when you love books this big, you do have to take breaks. So this is currently the book I'm reading. Okay, I have a ring light. This is how deep I am into the book. It is so good so far. I bought this book a while ago, I think like a year ago, and I only started it now because I was reading the whole entire Throne of Glass series, which is also really big, and it was like consuming me. It was really good. I loved it. So my favorite book genre of all time is fantasy. I'm a fantasy girl book through and through. I don't really love a romance book, but if it's a romantasy, I guess. I don't like spicy reads, but if there's like romantic subplots within a fantasy book, I'm okay with that. Just when romance is like the entire plot, I just don't care. I get really bored. So I love a fantasy book. I love a high fantasy book. I would say my other favorite genres are like historical fiction / like history. I love just like reading about women in history and like their lives, or like a historical fiction book, and classics. So there will be like some classics in here. Like literally I would probably answer the question my favorite book of all time is Jane Eyre. I do love a good classic. But anyways, I'm reading Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings right now. This is my first book in the Cosmere. So I haven't really read any other Brandon Sanderson outside of this. Don't worry if you're reading any of these books. I'm not going to give spoilers for any of the ones that I'm reading. I also have picked up and only just started reading, as you can see, there's my bookmark, Outlander. One of my favorite things ever, which I only discovered maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, is reading a book before. If there's like a movie or a TV show for it, any sort of, I love reading the book first. I have like I do have a book club that I'm a part of. It's literally just me and some of my main girlfriends, and we're not very good at keeping up with it, but technically it is still a book club. And the very first book that we read, we found out there was going to be a movie coming out for it, and quite literally like right when we finished the book, we all went to the movie theaters together after and watched it. It was redeeming love, by the way. I will say very disappointed with the movie, but the book was really good. I loved that book. So I have not seen Outlander, and because I love fantasy in all genres, whether it's like book, movie, or TV show. I've been recommended to watch this show a lot. Plus, it's also mixed with a little like history. So fantasy and history. Also love time travel. I'm a Doctor Who refugee, just chasing that high. And I'm always looking for shows. So people recommend me Outlander a lot, and I've never seen it. And I knew it was a book. So I decided I wanted to read the books first before I watched the show. And I've only read how deep is this? I think this is like 10 chapters. 7 chapters, and so far I love it and it's really good. I've never been to Scotland, and I talked to somebody who I like briefly made friends with at an event who like works in publishing, and said that they actually read Outlander in the Scottish Highlands. And now I really can't think about anything else, and I kind of need to do that. And this book I want to state, oof, I love a map. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. Oof. That is gorgeous. I was obsessed with cartography. I went through a phase when I was younger, and I love collecting maps. I actually, because I love Lord of the Rings, I have this book that is just like completely maps. Kind of want to frame them. They're so cool. This book is technically not a currently reading because I haven't started it yet, but it's a duology, and I finished the first book during the readathon. So the first book is Dance of Thieves. This is the second one, Vow of Thieves. This was not on my radar. This was not on my TBR. I didn't intend on reading these, but my sister-in-law, who I did the readathon with, said that these were her favorite books, or like of the fantasy genre, I think. Maybe that was what she said. And so she was like, you have to read them. The first one was like a 3 out of 5 stars for me, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little disappointed. It was just like too simplistic for me. Like I like a lot of stuff going on in a fantasy book. I have high expectations, I think, but I love just like crazy stuff going on all the time. And it was just like very minimalistic, I think, when it came to like drama and craziness. But she said the second one ties it together and makes it way better. She was like, you have to read both of them. So I'm not going to share, here's my book haul. I'm not going to share my Goodreads with you guys. Maybe someday I will. I'm just like low-key a little embarrassed because I love to leave a review for every book that I finish. Like I don't just star them, I write a review. My reviews are a little, I just don't want to share them. I like don't leave serious reviews. Like I leave funny reviews, and I kind of just like rip on every book that I read. Even when I like it, like I'll find something to say about it. So here's the book haul. Like I said, I went to the thrift store where all the books were $1, and there's nothing better. Thrift books. Can we get started talking about thrift books? I cannot stand Barnes & Noble. I have a $50 gift card from Christmas. Girl, that's gonna get me 2 books. I'm sorry. I could probably buy 10 books for $50. No, more. Like there are books on thrift books that I have saved to my wish list right now that are like $3 and $4. I love thrift books. Please sponsor me. All I want to talk about nowadays is the little fantasy worlds in my head. So some of these books were so exciting. Like I was literally freaking out in the store because of the $1 like thrift haul. Some of these were literally on my TBR that I wanted to buy. So very happy. This, however, I had never heard of this. I did judge her by her cover, and I said, ooh, she's so cute. She's so pretty. This is called 3 Weeks in Paris. Actually slay. And I read this little like inside sleeve, and it sounds so good. It's basically about these 4 girls who are like enemies in college, and years later after graduating all get invited to the same birthday party in Paris, and like things go down. Like I don't know, but sounds really good to me. So I have not ventured at all into the like chick flick book genre, and I fear she may have a chokehold on me. I really want to read Bridget Jones's Diary because that's like the main and only chick flick I have not seen, and I feel like I'm gonna love it. I love like literally one of my favorite, like I love Nancy Meyers, as we all do, like The Holiday and Something's Gotta Give, and I was like, I would love to read something like that as a book. I feel like that would be fun. So this, I have a feeling, is in that genre. So I'm excited to read this. 3 Weeks in Paris. I'm excited to read that. Then this was on my TBR. I was so excited to find this because this is also actually kind of like a niche read. This is The Heir Affair. Watch it not be a niche read. Watch this be a really popular book, and I'm just like kind of stupid. So like I said before, one of my favorite books of all times is Jane Eyre. And I don't really know much about The Heir Affair. I don't know if this is a murder mystery, I think. I don't know if either Jane Eyre is in this book or it's just like about or like taking place in the storyline of, like I have no idea. It has something to do with Jane Eyre, The Heir Affair, and it's a murder mystery. That's all I know. But gorgeous. Then I bought this book. I kind of don't know why. I mean, it was $1, so I was like, I'm not wasting any money. The Lilac Girls. This is a historical fiction. but it's definitely not the type of book I would read at all. But I'm always seeing this book against my will. I cannot walk into Barnes and Noble without being presented with this book. This and like The Nightingale are right next to each other. I haven't read The Nightingale. I don't like movies and TV shows that are intentionally sad and like will make me cry. I don't like to cry. But I have not read like a sad book, like a book that's made me cry. Well, no, I've definitely cried reading a book, but not because like the book was intentionally like a sad book. You know, do you know what I mean? Like the genre is just sad. I feel like this is one of those books, right? I don't know. I know it's a historical fiction, New York socialites, 1939. It has to do with bad times in Germany, and it's like it's heart-wrenching, right? I don't know. So this is not my typical read. I picked up The Duchess. I saw The Duchess there, knew this I had to get. This is also on my TBR and my Goodreads, so I'm so happy that I have this now. I just finished, we binged, me and my husband, absolutely loved Downton Abbey, and we watched the movies. They're coming out with a third movie, I think, which is so exciting. But because we just finished it over like New Year's sort of like break and everything, I am so in this mood and like wanted a Downton Abbey vibe book to keep me going because I was just so obsessed. And this takes place in 1928 in England about some duchess and I guess just the dramatic, crazy things that go on in her life. I'm so excited for this. Then this is another of those sort of like girly rom-com-esque sort of books, and I have a couple of these, to be honest. I've just never read any of them, so this will be added to the collection. This is called Summer at Tiffany's, and it's literally just about like a group of friends in the 1940s. They move to New York City and get jobs at the Tiffany's store, and it's literally just about like a summer that they work at Tiffany's and have like, I guess, a really great summer. So this sounds kind of fun. Like, again, it's a really small, like, quick read. Like literally look how many words are on each page. Like I could probably read this in like an hour and a half. So this will be fun, maybe like within a next readathon, just to like read it really quick and like enjoy. Yeah, I'm probably gonna wait until summer to read this, but super cute. Then I got 3 classics, which I love a good classic. I got Frankenstein, which I've been wanting to read this for a while, and I don't know why it only like recently occurred to me. I never knew that Frankenstein was written by a woman, and I think that that's so cool and like so interesting, so it made me want to read it like a lot more. And I just loved this cover, so I got Frankenstein. And then I got The Picture of Dorian Gray. One of my friends in my book club, like one of my best friends who's like also reader and writer, and literally 24/7 when we hang out, all we talk about is like books and what we're currently writing about. And she read this and loved it and kind of influenced me, because this was not kind of on my radar as well on like the classics I wanted to read, but because she spoke so highly of it, I got it and I want to read it. Then Romeo and Juliet, which I actually already have. I do love this cover though. This is a really beautiful edition. I do already have Romeo and Juliet. I've never read it, but the version that I have, it's a really big book, so it's a little intimidating. And because literally look how tiny this is, I'm gonna feel so stupid if I don't read this in one sitting. So I feel like just having this tiny little pocket version of Romeo and Juliet will actually, like, I'll read it now. So that'll be great to finally be able to say that I've read Romeo and Juliet, because I got this teeny tiny. She's so cute. I got these two. One of my favorite hobbies in the world of mine is gardening, and I haven't gardened in a while. Obviously, I don't have my own garden. So I've reverted to just reading about gardening and making tons of Pinterest pages about gardens. And yeah, anyways, I saw these 2 garden themed books and I eat it up. I eat it up. The Meaning of Flowers, Myth, Language, and Lore. I'm sorry, floral lore? No, there's nothing more me. Like, in another life, I'm a garden fairy, and that's all I hear about. So basically, this book is so cool. Oh, I opened right up to Peony, one of my favorites. Basically, it has, like, a bunch of different flowers per page with these really pretty little pictures, and it tells you, like, old stories on like what people believe the meaning of these flowers are. The peony grants its recipient the power to keep a secret. In its tightly clenched petals, nymphs could hide. Okay, that's a sleigh. The peony stands firm in the earth. A horse was needed, it was said, to pull the peonies from the ground. Because of this, the peony was reputed to enhance the power of a promise. For the same reason peonies suggest bashfulness to Victorian England, peonies have been cultivated in Asia for more than thousands of years. Requiring such careful cultivation, they were flowers that only the rich could afford to grow in Japan. Therefore, the peony symbolizes prosperity for the Japanese. Like, see, that's so interesting, and I never knew that. My wedding bouquet was a mix of ranunculus and peonies. So then I got this one called The Sweet Life, Reflections of Home and Garden, with these really beautiful illustrations, and anything with like a really cheeky, cute little illustration I love, because I love doing them myself. I'm not that good. I'm not a crazy good artist, but I love admiring other people's art. Okay, let's get to the physical TBR. So like I said, the physical TBR that I'm going to show you is not my entire TBR, or my entire physical TBR, that is. It's strictly the priority. Now, I have this really weird fear of like reading all my books. I don't know if this is something other people feel. Like, I have so many books in my apartment. Like, I love books. Like, I have so many books that I own and so many that I haven't read, but I'm okay with that. I don't want to read every book I own. Like, I have this like, okay, like literally when would I be in this situation? But I have this like, okay, if I was ever, stick with me, if I was ever like locked in my house for like a year straight, God knows why that would be happening, but if I ever had to be like stuck in my house, imagine if I had read every single book and there was nothing to read. Like, I don't know why, I just like have that idea, but like if I was like in a house full of like 100 books I had never read, yeah, leave me in there for a year, I'm fine. I don't know, there's something that makes me feel like genuinely unsafe about having read every single book and there's no more left. Like, even those words, there's no more left, is scary. Physical priority. This is the physical priority TBR. Oh, also, so talking about this brings up my book goals for the year. I forgot, I wanted to mention that at the beginning. Sorry about that. One of my book goals for this year is to utilize our libraries more. We in upstate New York have so many libraries. I've only been to like 2 or 3, but when we first moved up here and I got my library card, we were quite literally given this paper map of like over 50, maybe even over 60 different libraries in the area that my card works. I was like, I'm sorry, in the neighborhood I grew up in, we had like 3 libraries and that was it. I'm sorry, my camera stopped recording. I don't know for what reason, but I was talking about my book goals for the year. Want to use the library card more. I feel like I will always like purchase a book and then sometimes if I read it and I don't like it, like I don't want to have to keep it, you know, in my personal library. So I feel like that would save me a lot of money to be able to just like go to the books, not the bookstore, the library, read all the books that I want to read and then only buy the ones that I loved. And you're probably like, why would you buy it after you already read it? Because it's a trophy, because it's like a token. Not only do I like to decorate with books and like I have so many bookshelves, like I want a home library, so I love having lots of books, but it's like once I've read it, it's like a little congrats, here you go, like to have the book afterwards, you know? Anyways, let's talk about my priority TBR. First book that I have is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've heard so many good things about this. I've heard one negative thing about this that is not a negative to me. I really don't care. The only bad thing I've really heard about this book is that the main character, Addie LaRue, can be insufferable, but like, so can I. Like, I don't really mind an insufferable girl because like sometimes I can sort of just be like, okay, girl, I get it, you know? Like I feel for them a little bit. Like I would never put it against a girl for being a little insufferable. So if she is insufferable, I can get over it. I've read tons of books and watched tons of shows, watched tons of movies where the main character is insufferable, and it's never stopped me from enjoying the content before. So I don't really think that would be an issue if she is genuinely that insufferable. But even if she's only a little bit insufferable, it'll honestly probably make me like her more. And I have this, Galileo's Daughter. I also bought this at a thrift shop. This, like I said, goes kind of within that category that I love reading about, just like women in history or historical fictions. This is quite literally about Galileo's daughter. Being the daughter of like arguably the world's most important astronomer in the world is kind of fun. The historical memoir of science, faith, and love. I feel like this is just going to be a really interesting, really cool read. Yeah, I just finished reading Femina. Well, actually, no. Before the readathon, the book that I had read, I think I've read 4 books in January so far, and the first book that I finished for the year of 2025 was Femina, which is literally just about all of these different archaeological projects that reveal like some of the most prominent women in the medieval times. Such an interesting read. That was so much fun, and that was just like very different from what I had been currently reading, and I loved it. So going along with that vibe, Marie Antoinette. One of my favorite women in history is Joan of Arc, and I read a book dedicated to her whole life story, and I read it actually on a flight to Paris, which is kind of epic. Jaw dropped. Like, so good. Such an enjoyable read. Such a fun time to just like get in touch with homegirl, you know? And so I wanted to do that for Marie Antoinette as well. Then back to fantasy, the 5th season. I'm a little scared about this book because I feel like I've heard so many good things that this is a really, really good book. But I don't like urban fantasy or anything futuristic. Now, I can't say anything futuristic because I love sci-fi. I grew up a sci-fi girl. I don't love a sci-fi book though. Like, I love a sci-fi movie. Of course, I'm a Star Wars fan. And this is like an apocalyptic, there's another genre I'm thinking of. It's not called urban fantasy, but along the lines of like Divergent, like, is the word just apocalyptic, like end of the world? Because I've heard so many good things about the book, I feel like I was just like convinced into purchasing this. I'm always open to trying new things. So even though I'm not a very urban fantasy, futuristic, apocalyptic type person, there's a chance I'll like this. Then I have these 2 books, which are super popular, super it girl books, and I just haven't read them and want to feel like an it girl book reader. So this is Donna Tartt, The Secret History. Again, my friend that recommended me The Picture of Dorian Gray also said that this was like so incredibly good. She actually read it twice. And I had it, and I didn't realize I had it. I do love a dark academia book. I absolutely love the setting of that, so this could be a fun read. Then the other one is Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking. I've never read one of her books, and I know she's a very it girl author. So yeah, I've just heard that this is kind of a book that just makes you like think about things in a different way and just very like mind-opening. My favorite books I've ever read, probably like my top 2, because like I love Jane Eyre. One of my other top favorite books I've ever read is Pure Nessie, and I went to that book completely blind. I didn't know a single thing about the book. There was a table in the middle of Barnes & Noble's where it's like all the 50% off books, and I quite literally was just like, I saw the cover and I was like, oh, this looks kind of interesting. Didn't even read the back, literally just bought it and sat down and I read it in one sitting. Please read Pure Nessie. So good. It is a standalone as well. It is a fantasy book. Look how beautiful this book is. This book is called Crossings. Look at the Eiffel Tower. So cute. So this book is really interesting. It takes place like, I don't even know how to describe this book. There's like different storylines, and I think you can like read them in different, and like you get a different, I don't know. First is a ghost story. Okay, and then it's like all the different stories. There's a connection between this cast of unforgettable characters growing wider and deeper. Stories merged together in an extraordinary tale of separated lovers held captive by an ancient law, finding and losing love again and again. Yeah, so cool. Next one, super original fun concept, The Red Tent. I was super sad about this because I did buy this full price at Barnes & Noble, and then when I went to the thrift shop for all those $1 books, they had this. So yeah, anyways. Okay. I found the Goodreads. Her name is Dinah. In the Bible, her life is only hinted at in a brief and violent detour within the more familiar chapters of the book of Genesis that are about her father, Jacob, and his dozen sons. Told in Dinah's voice, this novel reveals the traditions and turmoils of the ancient womanhood, the world of the Red Tent. Like I said, I love history of like women and like cool women in history. Don't even get me started if it's a woman in the Bible. Oh my gosh, I love like anything that can like bring me new understanding and like a deepness into the Bible that I know and love, and like reading about a woman in the Bible who we see such a small portion of her life. I think this would be so much fun, so I'm really excited to read this. I have 2 more books here for my physical TBR. The Ninth House by Lisa Bardugo. A lot of her books seem interesting to me, but this is the first one I decided to pick up of hers. This is again a very dark academic book. I think it actually takes place in Yale. Yes, member of Yale's freshman class, and I think just like a whole bunch of crazy stuff happens with this girl, but it's also a little magical, and we love that. So Ninth House, Lisa Bardugo. It's giving Slytherin vibes, and that's what I'm here for. Then lastly is another classic. This is Edith Wharton's The Age of Innocence. I got this on Thrift Books. I loved this cover. So basically, I live like crazy not that far from Edith Wharton's house, which is like, you can go through it. It's kind of like a museum. It's very beautiful. The gardens are stunning. And my husband actually was gonna surprise me. He was like, we should do like a road trip and like go. But then I realized I had never read any of Edith Wharton's books. So I really want to read, obviously her most famous, I think her most popular book is The Age of Innocence. This is the one I hear about the most at least. So I thought I would go ahead and give this one a read, but I know she has like a lot of amazing books. So hopefully I'll love this and then end up reading more from her. But I thought it would just be only proper that I read one of her books before I went in toward her house. Okay, and those are all the books on my physical TBR. Like I said, my TBR is like way bigger. I have a bigger physical TBR of like books that I own, but I also have like obviously a big TBR on my Goodreads on my phone, so lots of books to come. I would love to do like maybe book vlogs and like show like time slots and time periods of like going out and like reading and like what I'm finishing without spoilers, giving them reviews. I don't know, making tons of more book content ideas. I don't know why I've never thought about following like book content creators here on YouTube, so definitely leave comments below of like book related content you'd love to see, because I don't really know a lot of ideas of book content that's out there. Also because I love writing so much, and I kind of, like I said with my rebrand, I just want to change my YouTube into like talking about things that I actually love and am passionate about now. Yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you want to see more book content from me. Like I said, I'm going to be making lots of new types of content, or maybe I'll just keep it really simplistic where I'm doing a lot more vlogging where I can just like input everything that I'm interested in my life. But yeah, make sure to subscribe to my channel to see more of that. So yeah, anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Mwah.